I'm Daniel from Woodworking with Dash, and today we're going to make this curved cutting board with a curved juice groove with no CNC, guys. We're going to do it all by router, but a different way. A couple of videos ago I showed you how to do one with a curved end with no CNC. Today we're going to make a complete oval cutting board with no CNC, but a totally different way. So come on guys, let's get going and I'll show you exactly how to make this board. Good looking board guys, isn't it? A curved cutting board with a curved juice groove. Doing it my way of course. We'll make the board out of this walnut that I got from the big box store. It's finger jointed plantation walnut, which is great for cutting boards I think, and it's good to use sustainable timbers in our woodworking guys. And for the lighter cutter wood I'm going to use again, I get from the big box store. I'm going to use rubber wood. It's a whitish timber, not as white as what I like, but it's the whitest that they've got. And for the highlight, I'm going to use Western Australian Jarrah, a very reddish timber. We'll get the borders now, and we'll cut them down on my small DeWalt battery operated saw, turn them edgeways, and we'll glue them up into a cutting board, and then we'll take it from there. I lost the footage of me cutting the board up, as I do, because I'm an idiot. So the board's already in the cramp now, so we'll take it out and we'll see what we've got. It's such a goose sometimes when it comes to these editing software stuff, but I'll survive. See what we've got. Okay, there's our board, edge grain, bit of glue on the surface, but we'll wipe that off. It's 40mm thick at the moment, and we'll put it through to the thickness of the 35mm. Then we'll just cut it to size like we do a normal board, and then we'll make the patterns for the curvature. Should be fun guys. Okay, different view of my thickness there from the doorway now. Great thickness of that. Works really well, helical head. And just cutting it to length now. I still need a new blade. And just cutting up the pattern material. You need 3 patterns there. Just using 9mm MDF. I don't normally cut MDF in the shop because it makes too much dust. But I had a little bit of it here. Very easy to cut. I've cut 3 pattern material out of 9mm MDF. It's a cheap material to use as a pattern. We need one as the outside curvature of the board, one as the outside curvature minus the router, and one as the juice groove. So we need 3 patterns. And once we've got the patterns, well, we've got them, so we can use them again. The next trick is to draw the finished outline of the board that we want to make on one of them, and then cut that out, and then we'll take it from there. Just marking out the board now. Put the cutting board on top, draw a line all the way around, and I came in 40mm each end for the curvature. And I mucked up the first nail because it was too far out. I've got to put it in a bit. And just get a bit of 3mm MDF and just curve it around there. And that's the curve I'm looking for. Got a clamp on one end to hold it. And cutting it out now on the bandsaw. This is our main pattern. We have 2 other patterns to make after this. And just sanding up the edge now. Yeah, it's pretty good, Dan. I forgot to mark the centre line of the board. So I marked a cross centre line and a down centre line. The face mark up one end can be our reference points. So I've marked the same on the first pattern. So when I put it back on the board, it's always the same way and the same reference points. This is the size our board will finish up when we're finished. So, how are we going to do that? We're going to run the router around the template to cut the board out. But the board being 1.5 inch thick, this is only a little router, we're going to do it in about 10 or 12, 15 passes. But it's going to take a little bit at a time. The next trick is to make the pattern for the router to run up against. Between the edge of the cutter and the outside of the router is 42mm. So we're going to make a pattern now that's 42mm smaller all the way around. Alright, for the router to run up against it. And I'm using a 1/4 inch upcut spiral bit. They seem to be pretty good at doing this sort of work. So we'll do that now, guys. We'll make another pattern, same as what we did this pattern, but 42mm smaller. Okay, just cut a block 42mm. Actually, I cut it about 41mm. And then I just followed the outside of the line. We've got our second pattern finished now. This is the pattern that's going to be attached to the board where the router is going to run around. We're going to attach this jig to the board so the router runs around it. And the best part about doing a jig this way is that you can't stuff it up. If you make a mistake, you're making the mistake outside the board. Nothing can go past the pattern. Now we're going to make another pattern for the juice groove. So it's the same as this, except 27mm shorter again. And that's for the juice groove. We've got all our bits and pieces together. We have the 3 patterns. The pattern for the juice groove, the pattern to router the cutting board, and the full-size cutting board pattern, which we only use as a reference now. The next trick is we've got to secure everything down. Very hard to do with cramps, but you've got to keep moving the cramps all the time because you can router all the way around the board. And when you're doing that 12 or 15 times, it gets very tedious. So we're going to fix it down with the masking tape method, which is, first, I have a backing board of melamine, which I'll screw to my bench, so that's fixed really good. And then we'll cover the back of the board in masking tape, and we'll also cover the face of the melamine in masking tape. And then we'll super glue them both together. That way, when I pull them apart, all I'm doing is basically pulling the tape off. The super glue is not touching the timber or the melamine at all, and that will hold it securely. And then once the board is fixed down to the board, then we're going to do the same with the top pattern. I'm fixing the board now and putting on the masking tape. Just overlap it a little bit. And doing the same to the underneath of the board. And now putting on the super glue. Just 6 or 7 dabs here or there to hold it. And now positioning it. Had a couple of marks there I put. And press down a minute or so. And now we're going to do the same to the pattern. Position the pattern, draw an outline where I want it. Cover the back of it and trim off the excess, but you don't want your router going up against the excess tape. On goes the super glue. And press it down for a bit. We're ready for the first cut. We have the board super glued with masking tape and super glue, and we get the pattern fixed to the board. That gives us access all the way around the board. The other thing you got to watch is that the router that you use has to have a round plate. If you got one of those square plate routers, if you move it off center, you're going to get a wavy line. With a round plate, you just get the same line all the way around, except for the back edge. You got to watch the back edge. The back edge is always square. So just take your time. I'll probably take off about just over 1/8 of an inch in the first cut. We just keep lowering the cutter until we get through it. I think that's the way to go. Haven't done this for a long time. Taking off about 1/8 of an inch. See how easy it's going. Make sure you keep it up against the pattern. Look at that, easy as guys, easy as. That's a table eye view of it. And that's the final pass. I go through the board, 1.5 inch solid timber board with a little trim router. Where is it? And it's not even too hot, because I took it a little bit at a time. I reckon I would have done 15 passes with that. So I just take it 1/8 at a time, all the way around. And you can't stuff it up, but you can't go inside the pattern, but the pattern's fixed to the board. The trick is to glue pattern number 2 down. That's the juice groove pattern. And to change the cutter in the machine, and we do the juice groove. Another glorious day in the shed. Yay! Where'd you rather be? Here or at work? I'd rather be here, in the shed, making woodwork, guys. Let's go! Okay, just doing a practice pass around the juice groove, but you really have to keep the one up hard against the pattern. But if you let it go off the pattern, you'll stuff it. So just do a practice pass to make sure your hand will work. Now we're doing the juice groove. Keeping it hard against the pattern, not too deep. I did it in about 3 cuts, the juice groove. And just popping off the top pattern now. See? And then just taking off the marking tape. No marks. All done, guys. Look at that. Come up great. Not one chip. If I was going to do a one of something and I only had one bit of timber, I'd do it manually, not on a CNC. You see how you don't muck up? You just take your time and you do it the old-fashioned way. And it's always the best, guys, always the best. Next trick is we'll round over the edges now, and we'll give it a good sand, and then it's the oiling. And we're almost done. Yay! Rounding over the easy part. Just a small cutter in the router. Got to be happy with that. And on goes the oiling. I pop the grain, sanded it down. Now here comes the oil. And it pops. As I say, it pops. Haven't said that for a while. So we're all finished. An oval cutting board. 1.5 inch thick, cut with just a trim router and a juice groove going all the way around it. With no CNC, guys, no CNC. I did it the old-fashioned way, and the old-fashioned way is always better. I reckon 1.5 inch thick, come up great. Okay guys, thanks for being with me today. Please follow and subscribe for more tips and tricks about cutting boards and all things woodwork. See you later guys.